We're so busy growing up that we forget to realize that they are growing old. My dad turned 70 in a very few short months, and I firmly believe that he is still the 35-year-old man he was when I was a kid. While growing up, my dad and I were not close. He is very outspoken and aggressive, where I am very soft-spoken and passive. We have very different political and religious views as well. But my dad has created a life that would make others envious, and he did this by serving in the military and raising a family. I chose to honor him because I have come to realize how much I can learn from him and how much our differences create the perfect family balance. In 1966, my dad became an active member of the U.S. Army. He trained for combat alongside hundreds of other soldiers, and he, along with his best friend, were sent immediately to Vietnam. My dad spent his 21st birthday in another country, away from the comforts of home. He was allowed the occasional letter home to his family, but was otherwise in it alone. When talking to him about this experience, he talks fondly of the soldiers that came home with him and also of the ones who didn't. He explains how hard it was to form friendships with people he didn't know if he would see tomorrow. And through all of this, my dad returned home to meet the love of his life, my mom. My dad, with the help of my mom, raised 7 brilliant and amazing children, myself included. But when that wasn't enough, they opened their home up to 73 foster children in 10 years. My dad loved each of those children with the same love he gave his biological children. In May of 2012, my dad accompanied my older brother Adam to Rochester for a heart transplant. My dad was enjoying his retirement in his newly built garage and dropped everything to make sure that my brother received the best care possible. They spent a total of 4 months in Rochester in and out of hospitals and hotels, and never once did my dad complain. He became so invested in Adam and his well-being that he knew every doctor and every nurse that ever tended to him. I have realized that he had a never-ending supply of love to give, and I was very lucky to be at the receiving end of that. And that brings me to the final reason why my dad deserves to be honored. My dad has been a part of the Augusta Bridge Creek Fire Department and has been an emergency medical technician. On December 12th, he was called to my brother's address. He knew his job as a parent was to protect his child, and he did for 11 very long, heartbreaking minutes. My dad performed CPR on my brother, but was not able to bring him back, and I know that a little piece of my dad died alongside my brother that night. Then, he had to call his wife and tell his wife that they had lost a son, and he had to call his siblings and tell them that they had lost their brother. At a time when he should have been mourning the loss of his son, he was consoling those around him and never complained. Through a war in a foreign country, opening his home to foster children, a heart transplant, and burying his son, my dad has remained the strong support that my siblings and mother cling to. He hasn't complained once about what life has thrown at him. He just keeps pushing forward. I believe there's at least something we all can take from this here today. Whether it's realizing that bad things happen and we can push through, or just not taking your parents for granted, we just need to remember that our parents are growing old at the same pace that we are growing up. Thank you.